It's time to take command with former NFL tight end Logan Paulsen and former Commanders beat reporter Craig Hoffman.
Take Command podcast from Odyssey Sports. Let's wrap up looking around the NFC East. A lot of moves. Philly re-signs Bradbury. They get Rashad Penny. They lose, obviously, TJ Edwards. They lose Javon Hargrave. Dallas makes the monster move yesterday for Stephon Gilmore. Their defense looks like it's going to be gross. The Giants trade for Darren Waller. So they've had an active free agency period here as well. If you're watching the video, you see the Commanders plus 1,000 to win the division. So certainly not favored. How do you think this division stacks up right now? And what are some of your favorite moves that have been made, whether it's Commanders or otherwise?
Oh, man. So two moves that really stick out to me. I love that Philly re-signed Bradbury. I think that was essential for that defense. And also the Darren Waller thing. Like, I am a huge fan of Darren Waller. Like, I love watching him on film. I wish he could stay healthier more consistently, but he is explosive. He's twitched up. He's big. He's basically like the closest physical comparison, because I got to meet him at tight end U. He's like Julio Jones playing tight end. Like, he's that big and twitchy and explosive. So I love that fit, especially if you're the Giants trying to build around Daniel Jones. Like, that's an awesome piece, because and especially if you're looking for mismatches, like that's what Dayball does. You can line him up at true X receiver. You can line him up at Z. You can F. You can block in line pretty good. Like, he pass pro'd a couple years ago, like probably the best in the NFL. So I like that a lot. And then the Gilmore thing, kind of on the fence about, but those are my two probably favorite. How about you? Got two you like?
Yeah, I mean, the Bradbury thing is huge for Philly. I don't know whether they'll be able to retain he and Slay. They had kind of signaled this was coming because they had said, hey, Slay, you can go pursue a trade. So I don't know what that means.
But they did that last year too. That's kind of their tactic, right? Is like when a guy's asked, Fletcher Cox did that last year. So he was asking for too much money. They said seek a trade. And then basically, it allows your agent to kind of look around. And basically the agent comes back and is like, this is the market for you. Do you want to leave to go somewhere else for the same amount of money? And usually the answer is no. So I think they're trying to leverage this to keep Slay, but right. That's kind of their style.
And if they can keep Slay, like, they're going to be still really, really good. Obviously one of the best moves of free agency is a low money one. Brandon Graham's just like, I want to be in Philly. I like it here. This is where my family is. I'm not moving. I don't care that I could go get paid. So they keep some of their depth, but losing Hargrave is big. Losing Edwards is big. They're just not going to be as good defensively, but if they can keep Slay, I think they're still very good enough to be the favorites in the division.
And they also have a top 10 pick, and they have another first round pick. Like,
they have dudes who didn't even play last year.
Right. Absolutely. Nakobe Dean. So,
yeah. Like, it's pretty crazy what Philly's been able to do, mixing and matching free agency and the draft. The Waller move is one I get for both sides. The Raiders get to move off a ton of money. And the other thing is Waller hasn't been healthy in a while. He had 2 monster years. And I don't know how random that is versus like, his body's just not going to hold up because this guy's a former wide receiver. He's bulked up to tight end. Is he just carrying too much weight for his body as he gets over 30? I mean, he's going to be 31 in September. So is it a kind of thing where he's just not going to be able to maintain that level? If he can, that move is sick for the Giants. Like, that is a A+ weapon for a guy who likes to throw the tight end in Jones. Another move piece where like he and Saquon and all these different guys can move around. Like, I really, really like the upside of that move. I get it for the Giants. If it doesn't wind up working out, it doesn't wind up working out. But I mean, the fact that they turned Kadarius Toney into that pick and then turn that pick into Darren Waller is a pretty nice upgrade. Even though I know that Toney obviously is playing well in Kansas City, but it just wasn't the right thing or right fit in New York. The Gilmore move, man, if he's good and he's opposite of Diggs and that pass rush, Dallas's defense is going to be gross.
It just is. I guess the question is like, where is he at in his career? Like where, what I'm saying? Like, how good is Gilmore going to be would be my question. And I think he's a good player. And I do think that's like the right move, getting some good coverage players. And like you said, pairing it with that pass rush. But part of me is like, is he on the decline? Because he was the best corner in football like 2-3 years ago.
And sometimes those guys drop off fast. Like Nnamdi Asomugha back in the day was like the best corner anyone had ever seen, and then 2 years later was not even playable. Right. So sometimes for corners it does go fast, but I think Indianapolis is willing to move off of him because they're just in a different stage of where like they were ready to compete and go for it, and now they're like, crap, we got to rebuild. Yeah. So I tend to think that he probably still has something left in the tank. He's not super old. I can look up real quick, but I'll be surprised if he's any older than 30, if he's even that old.
I think he's 31.
He is. Oh, he is. He's 32. What do you know?
Okay. Yeah.
Okay, so maybe he is getting up there. There you go. They also, Cowboys, re-signed Leighton Vander Esch. So I still think this division is going to be very similar to what it was last year if folks stay healthy. You're always one key injury from one team completely falling off. But I think these are 4 good teams, and coming into December next year when they all start playing each other, like I think the division's going to be on the line. I think multiple playoff spots are going to be on the line. Like I think this is a genuinely good division in a pretty bad conference.
Yeah, I think so too, and I think it's everyone's trying to build their roster to beat Philadelphia. Look at you bringing cornerbacks in to deal with those 2 receivers, and I guess my question is, what has Washington done, and have they done enough to kind of keep pace? So I think the moves that they made in free agency are good moves, but are they enough to kind of keep you going? And free agency is not done, and they've done a really good job of projecting growth from certain players, and in the offseason, like Jamin last year, and DeForest Buckner, all those guys, like they've done a really nice job of that. So they know where the roster's at, but it seems like everyone's kind of bringing out the big guns, and they're really making a push to beat Philly. Is Washington kind of in that same boat, or what's going on? So that would be something to keep an eye on as the free agency continues, and then with the draft and the moves they make there.
Right. This is the hard part about prognosticating this time of year, is like our eyes are attracted to shiny objects. Yeah. And, is the big sexy name actually any better than just creating space for a guy to play? Like, the Eagles lose TJ Edwards. What if they're upgrading by letting Nakobe Dean play? Like, those are the kinds of things you just don't know. Like, is paying Payne and giving him like, hey man, now you got to go prove it. And like the continuity of Allen and Payne together and getting Chase back, like, is that enough to elevate the Commanders to a different level? And Jamin in year 3, like, turns into a monster. So like sometimes continuity and growth is actually the best strategy. And you look back and you're like, well, the free agent guy didn't really work out. And the young guy coming into his own, that was actually the right play. So it feels like Washington has not done quite enough, and the corner is the big one. You mentioned, Dallas obviously now has 2 corners. Philly's got 2 corners. The Giants have a couple of guys. Dory Jackson, obviously a big one, and they're trying to continue to develop, but they probably need to add one more, because it's not just for the other 3 teams, not Washington. It's not just the 2 guys in Philly; it's the 3 guys here that they have to stop as well. But can Washington get what they need on the outside to secure it up? And also, Cam Curl, retaining him and taking care of him. There's a lot of continuity at play here for Washington, and defensively, that's not a bad thing.
No. And I think, like you said, free agency in recent years has become very popular because of like the Los Angeles Rams and what they did in terms of trading and making big moves and how that elevated their team. But prior to that, free agency was kind of a crapshoot. You bring guys in on big money, they never perform the way you thought they were going to perform. So I'm okay with this. It just, it's a little bit quieter. We kind of expect them to be that way. Not a bunch of big flashy moves, but guys that kind of are scheme fits. They know the system, all good things. But, I do think corner, offensive line, all those things still, I think, could have some finishing touches. And can they get that done in the draft? I would think so. And then all of a sudden, if those draft picks pan out, you're in a pretty good spot to be pretty dangerous. So,
one news item that's going right now, Clarence Hill of the Fort Worth Star-Telegram saying the Cowboys are set to part ways with Ezekiel Elliott. So that's been something that's kind of blooming. They obviously franchise tagged Tony Pollard. The thought Zeke is wanted to stay a Cowboy. There's been kind of the reporting around that he was willing to take less money and restructure and all that. But it looks like they may just part ways with Zeke. So it'll be interesting to see what Dallas does there. Kind of a run-based scheme. At least they have been the last couple of years. What do they do now down in Dallas. So keep an eye on that. Have more reaction, obviously, as things happen on the radio. And then we will also, over the next couple of days, probably pop back on here to do any kind of reaction to any significant move that happens for the Commanders. In the meantime, make sure you're following along on social media as well. Logan's doing breakdowns for Command Center on YouTube and some of those clips on his Instagram at Logan_Paulson82. You can follow me for some takes. Gotta love some tweet takes at Craig Hoffman. And then I'll see y'all on the radio Wednesday, and then we'll be back on the radio on Monday. Fresh pods coming as well, so make sure you're subscribed. That's it. That's all. That's the housekeeping. That's the rambling. See ya. Thanks for watching this clip of Take Command. First, why don't you like it? It lets other people know that it was good, and then they should watch it too. And Logan, we have a new exclusive home for full episodes.
We do. 1067 The Fans YouTube page. Go check it out and please subscribe.
Yeah, do what Logan said.
Do it.
Very, very smart.